So today I got rejected. I got rejected from the jobs that I applied for. I got rejected from the graduate schools that I applied for, and also got rejected from the internships that I applied for. Now, it wasn't all of the rejections coming down on one day, but today was the last kind of chance that I had for a grad school and heard back my final no. And I also heard back from my last internship and got a no from that as well. Now, of course, the other things have been coming over the last month or so in terms of once a week, twice a week, I'd hear a no, or get an interview and then not hear anything back, in which I assume it to be a no, or the deadline would pass, and again, didn't hear back, so I assume after the deadline passed, that's also a no. And so today was the last kind of chance where I would apply for jobs in my last rotation because I heard back from no internships and no good news from graduate schools. And so how do I keep going about applying for jobs and dealing with rejection? Well, rejection is a really common part of, I would say, life, and as well as the medical school pre-med track process, because I'm applying for a lot of the similar jobs with a lot of the similar qualifications as a lot of the other people applying. And so I applied for jobs at a hospital. I applied for jobs with the qualification of being phlebotomy certified with my undergraduate GPA, or with my undergraduate degree under my belt in biomedical sciences, with my minor being in Spanish, and hoping that gave me an advantage. And I just wasn't lucky enough to get back. I got a couple of secondary interviews and didn't hear back from those, and now I'm going to be applying for more. In terms of internships, I applied again with those same qualifications. I submit my resume, I submit any sort of essay that it required, and I applied to mostly jobs in the healthcare field, as well as a couple even outside, simply because of the pay for them, and I thought I might as well try my head at those, because if I'm not going to get one in the medical field, then I might as well get good pay for something outside of the medical field. And I didn't hear back from those. The couple I did hear back from, I got a first interview and was told that I would either get a secondary interview or nothing, and got nothing, which is a no. And so that was, of course, really disappointing, because it was the same thing with graduate schools, where I applied simply based on the qualifications that I had to schools that really interested me in terms of a master's program, in terms of their research, in terms of the degree that they offered, their campus, student life, stuff like that, and got back a bunch of no's to all the schools that I applied to. And so it's very tough, but it's also very common for a lot of people, because only one person's going to get that job. If they have two openings, there are only going to be two people to get those jobs out of X number of applications and applicants that they see. So currently I'm applying for my last rotation, my last cycle, like I said, of jobs, until I start looking at more internships, start looking at more jobs, and just hope that something sticks. Because if you throw a handful of darts at a board, you're going to hit one. If I, apply for 100 jobs, I might get an interview at 10, I might get one yes. And so far I've applied to 5 different internships, got on those. I applied to 10 or 11 graduate schools, got on those, and I've applied to 10 jobs so far, and I've gotten 6 no's. So I've got 4 more coming up, where I've got my first interview coming up for 3 of the 4, and I'm hoping that one of those will eventually hit. That was the last cycle. I just submit those last week, so hopefully sometime this week or next week I hear back scheduling that interview, and scheduling the secondary interview. I had my first interview last week, and hopefully that secondary interview is something that I can do really well in, and answer all the questions and kind of say what they need to hear, and end up getting the job. And so those were all hospital jobs, the ones that I'm waiting back to hear on, those 3 secondary interviews, and I'm hoping that one of them goes well. But in terms of what I'm planning on doing, I am done with school. I am moving out of this apartment. I'm going back home. I'm going to be commuting to my job if I end up getting one. Otherwise, I'm going to apply to something more local where I don't have to commute as far, but still a hospital job, trying to get those clinical hours on my belt, trying to get a foot in the door into job shadowing some of the doctors, because COVID made it really tough for me to get those job shadowing hours, because that's going to look really good on medical school applications, because that's what other students are getting. It's not going to put me above anybody else because I have clinical hours, but it's pretty much just going to put me in line with these other students who are applying for the same medical schools that I am. So hopefully one of those things works out. If it does, you'll be seeing a day in the life. If it does, I might mention it in another video coming up, or doing a day in the life, or, week in the life, whatever that may be. But other than that, you just got to stay optimistic, because you're going to hear a lot of no's. It's really tough, but obviously it also gets easier the more no's you hear, because if you really go in with these super high goals and thinking that you're going to get all 5 internships you applied for, and then you can pick and choose which one you want, or which 2 you want if they're both part-time, then you're going to be disappointed. So if you come in with really low expectations, you really can't be disappointed, because all it's going to do is meet your expectations. If it doesn't work out, then you're going to be like, okay, that's kind of what I came in expecting. But if you come in expecting to get the job, get into the school, get the internship, and you don't, then of course you're going to be disappointed. So best of luck in anybody's journey applying to jobs, applying to grad schools, applying to internships, medical school, whatever that may be, undergraduate degree, whatever that may be. Set those expectations for yourself. kind of understand that no's are okay, no's are part of life, it's part of the process, and you need to take that with a grain of salt. You just, maybe not weren't right for the position. They had somebody more qualified. They had somebody who was the exact same as you, and you just didn't happen to get picked. If they had the exact same things and they just had to do a little 50-50 toss or a left or right, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, and you just weren't the one, you just got to take that. You got to move on. You got to find ways to better yourself, apply for different jobs, different positions, different schools, take a gap year, travel, experience yourself, get life experience under your belt, and then go back and keep doing those same things. Build your application so you don't do the same thing over and over, but get other aspects of it up so that when you apply, you're better set for, or better prepared, I should say, for the next time you're going to apply. So best of luck, like I said, to anybody in the journey, and I will keep you all posted in the next video. Peace.